Verballers, listen. Navy Federal has a mission to put its members first by making their financial goals the priority. Receive a lifetime of membership benefits to help you and your family accomplish your life missions, like a full suite of financial products designed to fit your needs, 24/7 live support, and access to over 300 branches on or near military bases. Visit NavyFederal.org for more information or call 1-888-842-6328 or download the Navy Federal Credit Union app. Message and data rates may apply.
Welcome to the Solid Verbal. The Solid Verbal.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
I've heard so many players say, well, I want to be happy. You want to be happy for a day? Eat a steak.
It's that woo woo!
And now, Dan and Ty.
Welcome back to the Solid Verbal, boys and girls. My name is Ty Hildenbrand. Joining me, as always, over there in New York City, my man Dan Rubenstein. We are a little podcast you might have heard of us called the Solid Verbal. Sir, how are you?
I am ready for Sassafras Saturday.
Whoa. Did we agree on that?
No, we didn't agree on anything. That's the beauty of this show, Ty.
We did argue.
Yeah.
People should know that this is now our main topic of discussion on the super secret.
That's who we are now.
Off the record G-chats that we do before a show when we're trying to plan all this out. Talking about Saturdays, trying to name the Saturdays. You did not mention sassafras to me yesterday.
No, it was the silliest word I could think of.
What is sassafras?
I don't even know what sassafras. I think that's just an old-timey sassafras. Is it like a plant?
I mean, I love the word. I think
it is.
It feels right. I think we should just go with it.
Sassafras is a genus of 3 extant and 1 extinct species of deciduous trees in the family Lauraceae, would be my guess, native to eastern North America and eastern Asia. Okay. So I don't know how we tie that in.
We can think about that, but sassafras is too good a word to just leave it out there and not use it.
I mean, we could just call it Sassafras Saturday just because it's fun to say. Maybe the tree is keeping us shaded within the college football season, giving us life, Ty.
Right.
Giving us the oxygen that we need to keep going for week 11?
You are really stretching here, but I like it. Sassafras Saturday. I love it. Okay.
You suggested Sonar Saturday. That was not very clear.
Sink or swim Saturday we had as an option.
That's not bad. It's just it's pretty direct.
Yeah. Sting Saturday still out there, mind you, but
still waiting to be chosen in the late rounds. I also had Submarine Saturday. That's sort of the idea of
Speed Bump. I had Speed Bump Saturday. Not bad.
We had I put in Seeping Saturday.
That's a little weird. That's a little Patriot League lightning round for you.
I have a good one today.
Okay, great.
Steak and Shake Saturday. I don't think we can do that for legal reasons.
Right. Not a sponsor.
No. You had Skullet Saturday, which is very Skullet. West Virginia centric.
It is a little bit.
All right, we'll sort it out by the end of the show.
Welcome to week 11. Now listen, if you downloaded the show on Sunday, I was very tired and I misfired on the title. So some of all y'all out there who downloaded thought you were getting a week 11 recap show, which was mistakenly labeled as such. It was week 10. Perhaps you saw a glimpse into the future. We're going to try and give you a glimpse into that future today. We've got an interesting slate of games here. It's not as high profile as the one we saw in week 10. I don't think it's as high profile as some of the weeks that we're going to see moving forward. But nonetheless, we're going to sort some stuff out. We've got Ohio State, Michigan State. We've got Bedlam between Oklahoma State and, of course, Oklahoma. There's an Auburn-Georgia game, which is intriguing. And Clemson at Boston College, which has a really high point spread, but it's obviously the number 2 rated team in the country on the road at night in Chestnut Hill. So we're going to sort through all of that stuff. It's college football, so it can't be all that bad. Shall we start, though, where we've been starting now, I guess, for 2 weeks running with the news of the day?
Sure. I was just, before we get there, hoping that you posting a week 11 recap after week 10 would be like our Biff Tannen sports almanac moments. Sports almanac, where people download and like, oh my God, I'm going to know
Yeah.
I'm going to know everything.
This subscription's worth a lot more than free, believe you me.
Yeah, you want to get into some news?
Let's do it. Daniel, we have breaking news.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah,
Wow.
buddy.
Did you take a nap?
I took a nap. I was off today.
Oh, okay. Where should we begin?
We've got shirts out, don't we?
We do have shirts out. We do. We released 4 brand new shirts and re-released a past favorite. So we re-released our Letdown Look Ahead Sandwich shirt, which I could not be a bigger fan of how that turned out. The job Cotton Bureau did with everything with that shirt. So that's back on the market. And now we are entering the local market, Ty, with a shirt celebrating Eugene, Oregon, South Bend, Indiana, not Notre Dame, Indiana, which I believe actually exists, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And then Easton, Pennsylvania, and the Lehigh Valley.
Bethlehem,
Valley. PA.
Yeah. Greater Lehigh Valley area.
So yeah, we honor these locales and obviously where some schools are. So I think they came out really nicely. The design is generally if you can imagine a varsity jackets patch that would be on the shoulder or something like that, or the back, I guess, with the varsity jacket itself inside the patch. So a little inverted meta type design, but I think it came out really good. This is probably about like 10 months in the works. So I'm happy they're finally out. And to answer all of your questions, yes, there will be more if it's Baton Rouge or Ann Arbor or Berkeley, wherever. We are in the process. By the time you listen to the show, there will be a survey on solidverbal.com/survey gauging where you'd like future Solid Verbal shirts to celebrate.
That's right.
Correct?
That is correct.
Is that information all good? And where can they find the shirts, Ty?
The shirts are available, as always, at solidverbal.com/store. That'll take you over to our storefront. Now, many of you have already signed up via our friends over at Cotton Bureau for updates. So some of you may be listening to this and say, aha, I knew about this even before you formally announced it. Good on you if you fall into that category. Also, we will be sending out by week's end something on our newsletter.
Yes.
To introduce these shirts to the wild and give everyone a chance to purchase them before they expire. That's what's different about the shirts that we're doing through our friends over at Cotton Bureau. Again, a great website, but you've got 2 weeks now. The clock is running as of today, as of 3 p.m. today. We're recording this on a Wednesday. So you got 2 weeks. Jump on in, buy the shirts. If they're popular enough and you don't get in on the first round, my guess is that there will be future rounds. But for the time being, get them while they're hot before they expire, because there are no guarantees moving forward.
And I know we are popular with the Huskier set, Ty. So you can get it up to 5XL.
Boom.
So if you are, a little, what are we looking for? If you're a brick house, Ty.
Yeah, buddy.
We got you covered.
So check it on out. Danny did a good job with these. I got 2 left hands when it comes to anything graphic design, but you did a good job. I personally will be donning the Cheer South Bend.
Oh yeah.
Edition that we've put forth in the indigo. Is that an indigo color I see?
It is an indigo.
That is hot fire. I love that shirt.
Oh, we're so young.
All right. What else do we got? Oh, we've got new playoff rankings. I don't think any great surprise here. Your top 4 has obviously shifted now by virtue of the 29-0 loss a week ago by LSU to Alabama. Your new top 4 is Alabama and Clemson. No change there. Notre Dame slides up a notch. And now Michigan has rightfully moved into the top 4. They're followed, I believe, by Georgia at number 5. So that's your new top 5 in the college football playoff, Dan. Any thoughts on that matter?
Not particularly in a strong way, I guess. UCF stays at 12, unmoved. Kentucky falls, but not below the Knights there. And certainly UCF with a schedule perhaps not comparable to some of the teams around them, but still, I'd say a little disappointing, albeit this is not a ranking to really find the best teams. It's a ranking to protect what is considered to be the grouping of best Power 5 teams. I'm a little curious about LSU at 7. I don't know if you saw the tweet that I sent out earlier today.
I did not.
It was It was meant to be a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but at the same time, I kind of feel serious about it. The tweet was basically, if you get shut out by double digits, so not losing 3-0, not losing 7-0, but in the way that LSU lost, and I believe Rob Mullins said something about LSU still passing the eye test, which, okay. If you get shut out by double digits, or triple digits, mind you, who knows, you are automatically disqualified from the college football playoff. If you are that devoid of competition in a game against it, let's say a team from your conference, or even a Power 5 team if you yourself are a Power 5 team, would you be okay with completely disqualifying LSU after throwing up a goose egg against a rival as a college football playoff competitor?
I'd be fine with it. What I would say is LSU has something in common with Ohio State, not in that Ohio State was shut out against Purdue, but both teams lost by 29.
I want nothing to do with LSU as a college football playoff team because they had the chance to at least make a dent into a team we feel like is a surefire playoff team. And there is something significant to me, an absolute, about a goose egg. Whereas Ohio State goes on the road, Purdue has a good offense when David Blau is starting, and they got beat down. But Ohio State still exhibited traits of a competitive team at times in that game. LSU did not.
No.
To me, that zero is, and this is sort of an homage to, I mentioned this as well, our pal Roger Sherman said, any team that is no hit can't make the playoffs in baseball, which I love. But I would add, if you are no hit in baseball, the only way you get into the playoffs is if you no hit somebody else.
But you lose by 29 against anybody, I think that's almost disqualifying. If you're going to lose, it's got to be close, and it should be early. It should be kind of what happened to Michigan in that first week of the year against Notre Dame. That's more the blueprint for a loss if it's going to happen to you. But 29 points, the loser against anybody is not the template.
Think about what you just said. 29 to nothing. What does that word mean to you?
Okay.
Nothing.
You really have a visceral reaction to that goose egg.
I do indeed, but that's okay. Around the rankings otherwise, it just, and we were texting about this, I think last Saturday night while I was walking to pick up some pizzas. When you look at this top 15, top 12 right now, how many of these teams, which have played, about 9 games each?
Yep.
How many of them have legitimately interesting, or not interesting, but impressive wins?
It's a good question. It's a good question.
I think it might be a bad season. College football itself is good, but it might be just a bad season for good teams.
Well, you had Notre Dame over Michigan. You had LSU over Georgia, I guess. Yeah. You had, Florida over LSU. LSU seems to be a common denominator, though I guess Florida's not really a top.
Alabama over LSU.
Yeah, Alabama over LSU. Texas over Oklahoma. You're going to hear the argument now more than ever because of these playoff rankings. And believe it or not, we heard it about Alabama after the first week of the college football playoff rankings. Like, well, who did they really beat, right? Sure. Who did anybody really beat is more the correct question. It has been a weird year of college football. You could ask, who have some of the better teams beaten? You could ask, who is really good? We asked that question a week ago. Where do we kind of separate the wheat from the chaff? You could ask the question, how many teams legitimately have a good offense and defense in college football? You might go like 8 deep before you're really scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Oh, it might be less now.
Sure. Who's in your high? Here's another one. A question no one's talking about because it's an odd year.
Yeah.
Who's your Heisman top 5? You can give me 3 very easily. Give me your top 5, Dan.
It's a very difficult. I don't care about the Heisman generally.
I don't either, but it's a topic.
Sure.
Give me
right
5.
Now
Give me your 5 names.
It's Kyler and Tua, and I think there's a pretty sizable gap. I think Dwayne Haskins is hanging around there. I would start to put Gardner Minshew in that conversation.
Travis Etienne has to be in the conversation. We'll talk about him.
I mean, Quinnen Williams, after what he did against LSU, I think, I was ready to start getting on that Laviska Shenault train, but he's missed the last 3 games.
Yep.
He was as important an offensive skill player as there is in the country.
Anyway, I don't want to derail what we have to do in previewing a bunch of games here today, but the point is that It is a strangely down, weird, odd year of college football where a lot of the normal questions, a lot of the normal talking points don't really apply or are tougher to apply given the landscape. Very strange. Anyway, again, as you said, we do have a new top 5 in the college football playoff rankings. We will continue to monitor that. The only other talking point, and maybe we could talk about this a little bit more later, but David Beatty has officially been fired from Kansas. He has agreed to finish out the season. No giant surprise on that front, but it was made official shortly after we hit the stop button, I believe, on Sunday's show.
Yes. And did you see who Bruce Feldman wrote was at least a contender, leading name?
I did not.
Les Miles.
Ooh.
I saw Dan Enos, the Alabama quarterback coach, associate head coach, former head coach at Central Michigan, was being named in a yet another like Alabama, basically as professional development for coaches. Okay. You screw up, you go to Alabama, you learn the Alabama way, you go and become a head coach, then you're disappointing. So he is being mentioned. The Les Miles thing, I don't think there's much of a connection between him and between he and Jeff Long, the new Kansas AD. But I would imagine Les could get Kansas to borderline bowl-ishness. But if Kansas is serious about building up its football program, I still don't actually hate a Les Miles hire. I think he can provide a foundation of talent and infrastructure. But if Kansas sees itself competing for 8-9 wins a season long term, it's hard to go with somebody. Retread is a mean word, but somebody who doesn't necessarily want to be coaching at that level.
On that note, shall we get to some of the high-level college football action for Week 11?
Let's do it.
Dan, time, help. I need picks of the week.
So I don't really remember if I did or did not do this, but
okay.
I think I did last week. I have a little bit of short-term memory loss here, but I'm trying to figure out what is our window of opportunity for this week.
The window of opportunity.
I got to be honest. I would be totally cool if you just decided last week was a little crazy.
Mm-hmm.
A little crazy. Couldn't go out. Couldn't see cats for a third time. If you decided that you wanted to do it this week, there are a lot of marquee games. I have marquee here in air quotes with really high point spreads. So at least Vegas is saying to you, if you need to take a week off, if you need to build that capital back up, Week 11 might be a good week to do it. We obviously will not be doing it because we are degenerates. But if you're still looking for the sweet spot of college football, when you can go out but still come back, I'm intrigued by 2 windows here. I'm intrigued by Ohio State at Michigan State because the line confuses the hell out of me. We're going to talk about it next. That's an early game. And I'm intrigued by some of the late games. You've got Auburn, Georgia. You've also got Clemson at Boston College. You've also got Notre Dame and Florida State in a late one in South Bend. Texas at Texas Tech should be a fun one on Fox. You got options late, more options late than you do early. So I guess if you're really trying to cast a wide net and just get a good game or two, try to be back for that later slate of games, even if you have to go out earlier.
I would recommend taking a luxurious brunch.
Okay. I could do it.
If you have to win social points with somebody, I would say take that luxurious brunch. Sangria Saturday, Ty.
That's not bad.
Sangria Saturday. Sangria is not complicated. It's got little bits of flavor with the chopped up fruits.
I like it.
You still let college football wash over you like the base of wine.
It's no sassafras, but it makes a little bit more sense here for Week 11.
Does Solid Wife Kate enjoy sangria?
Probably. We haven't. Yeah, I mean, we like a good drink.
Solid Wife Jody loves a good cold glass of sangria.
Sangria Saturday.
Yeah, Sangria Saturday.
12 p.m. on Fox. Ohio State at Michigan State. The line is 3.5 U.S. American points.
Yeah.
Which seems very low to me. It's actually come down. I saw it at 4 a couple days ago. Now, I guess I get it. The loss on the road to Purdue, we talked about that earlier in the show, by 29 points. A big black eye. Ohio State still down at 10th in the playoff rankings.
Yep.
The path is complicated for them, right? The defense is, I'd say, above average. Above average. A lot of talent, but above average right now. They've certainly left a lot to be desired. But here's my thing. Like, what, 4 weeks ago, maybe? 4 weeks ago? They were a machine on offense and destined for the playoffs. So this has all come at us very quickly as college football fans. And I just wonder whether that perception that Ohio State has regressed is actually the college football reality that we find ourselves in. Is it true that they've regressed, or is that more just a mirage, Dan?
Right. No, I think those are all fair points, fair questions. Something I come back to with either playing Ohio State, playing Alabama, playing Clemson, where you are perhaps built to succeed against them at times in phases. Michigan State stops the run almost as good as anybody in the country. But against Ohio State, you need buckets. You need bucket getters. And Michigan State's clear, probably best offensive skill player, Felton Davis, is out for the year. I believe he tore his Achilles. And to beat Ohio State, you need to get to 28, 29 points probably, no matter who, short of Alabama, Clemson. And it's very difficult for me to see this Michigan State team, even with that defense, getting those moments, those big plays. And that's what Ohio State will give up. We saw it last week, giving up yardage in big chunks to Nebraska. Nebraska has bucket getters, young, inexperienced. Devine Zigbo is older, but they do have those guys. And Michigan State right now, to me, could hold down Ohio State for a good amount of this game, but they don't get those buckets. I have this as Ohio State 23-13, and a nice day for Ohio State's defense. As maligned as it's been, Michigan State might be the cure for the common defense. Michigan State has succeeded offensively on the road. This is back to a Brian Lewerke team. It's not a Rocky Lombardi team. And I still think he's probably feeling the effects. I think he hurt his throwing shoulder a few weeks ago.
Right.
I don't buy Michigan State getting to 28. I just don't.
I'm with you. I must admit, the calculus is different when you just blindly accept or choose to accept that Ohio State doesn't have a shutdown defense. That's not something I'm used to.
For sure.
And also, last year, this one was a bloodbath, this game. Generally, it's pretty close. So perhaps there's a little bit of a revenge factor here for Michigan State. But I'm with you. I don't believe for a second that Ohio State is only 3.5 points better than Michigan State. This is a good football team. It might take them a while to pull away here, which is my only real caveat.
Right.
But I'm with you. I don't think Michigan State's got the offense to score with Ohio State, and I don't think they have the defense to hold Ohio State under 24. So I'm going to say Ohio State 31, Michigan State 20. And, I had the nap. I'm feeling saucy. It's going to be Sangria Saturday, so what the hell?
Whoa!
The week.
I am spooked by the low line here, but I feel very confident in Ohio State.
And Michigan State, I should point out, Connor Hayward has been a nice, surprise, but he has been good lately on the ground for a team that hasn't been able to run the ball lately. You know who his dad is? Ironhead Hayward. I believe the late, but still, good genes, Ty.
We agree. Moving on. 3:30 CBS, Mississippi State at Alabama. Bama a 24-point favorite, Dan. Wow. Okay. If Mississippi State could throw the ball, I'd be so much more confident taking the points 1 week after the game of the century of Week 10. So I'm on the fence here because normally I would say there's a letdown effect, which is somewhat canceled out by the fact that it's Alabama and they never let up on anybody.
Let alone let down, yeah.
Right. It's just, this is such an astronomical point spread against a really good team with one of the better defenses, if not a top 10 defense in the country. I am having trouble working my way through this one.
Mississippi State may have, and I believe this was how it worked out mathematically, the worst points per drive offense in SEC play. They are just, and especially on the road, they've been, listen, it's been a while since that Kentucky game. I still remember.
I know. Well, look, and that's my thing. I can't get past, what was it, 16 total points against Kentucky, Florida, and LSU combined.
Yes.
Mississippi State, with this vaunted Joe Moorhead offense and all that veteran leadership on offense,
Right.
scored 16 total points against those three teams. It makes it very difficult for me to believe that any letdown effect would have any real effect in this game.
I'm with you. I think I'm going to take Mississippi State to cover because of not a letdown, but because it's just another good defense. 2 games in a row for Alabama to face LSU's defense and then Mississippi State's defense, which is exceptional. And we really wish we could trade Mississippi State's defense to whoever, Texas Tech or something. But I do believe that if they can get to 12, 13 points, they can cover this spread. So I have it like 35-13. I think they will bust something loose on the ground, either with Nick Fitzgerald or somebody else, and generate another scoring drive or two, kicking, whatever, that they can get to 12 or 13 points. And I think they keep Alabama under 40. So my math has them barely covering.
This is like election day math here is what we're doing.
I got a touch screen behind me.
Yeah, we're trying to zooming in on counties, trying to get to within the number.
Yeah, Clackamas County is coming in strong for Nick Fitzgerald.
38-13. The Tide wins this one. I'm going Bama till further notice. They gave me no reason against LSU to doubt what they can do against a good defense. I'm going to go Alabama 38-13.
I'm taking State 35-13. Barely covering.
We disagree. Moving on. Another big 3:30 game. ABC, Oklahoma State at Oklahoma. They call it Bedlam. The point spread, though, is 20. 2-0, a rather large number.
And that's up.
That is up. You know what we say. Can you please remind the kind folks what we do in a game such as this?
Throw them the hell out those records.
My instant reaction here when I saw the line was to take the points. And that was when it was lower.
Mm-hmm.
That was when it was lower. I saw it at 17. It's up to 20. In a rivalry game, let's face it, this one could devolve into a shootout. You know my rule. I take the points in the shootout. I generally like to take points in a rivalry. So I got two factors working for the points here, Dan. I also think Oklahoma wins the game because their offense is just incredible. Statistically, the best in the country. I think Oklahoma wins. I'm really just struggling. Given that it's 2-0, 20 as a point spread right now, that's a lot in a rivalry.
It's a tasty number, Ty. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. But here is what troubles me. Oklahoma State on the road, not so good.
Okay.
Oklahoma State against the run, where Oklahoma is suddenly shining, which is extremely dangerous given what they look like through the air, not so good. Second straight game on the road for Oklahoma State after losing to Baylor, perhaps a look-ahead spot to Bedlam, for sure, not so good. Anytime I can foresee a fun game for Oklahoma's running backs, and yes, they went off last week and it was close against Texas Tech, for sure, but that was on the road. I think Oklahoma is a different team in Norman. I'm going to have Oklahoma, and I don't love their defense. If their defense is what it was last week in the first half, what it was in the second half against Texas, this will be a shootout, and taking the points will be wise. But I think Oklahoma can control this game, and I'm going to go Sooners by 21. So barely covering. It opened at 17.5. I had 21 and went up to 20. I still feel confident. I have it 45-24.
The one thing that scares me about taking the points here, Oklahoma is in a position, I believe, number 6 in the playoff rankings, where style points really start to matter.
Oh, yes, they do.
Big time. They're number 6 in the playoff rankings. They won a close one against Texas Tech, while both Michigan and Georgia won very convincingly over ranked opponents. If at all possible, Oklahoma's going to run it up. If they can score 80 against Mike Gundy, they're going to do it. That is my concern about taking points here. But I think it's a shootout. I think it's the old adage, you take the points in the shootout in a rivalry. I'm going to say Oklahoma 48-35. I don't love their defense. Oklahoma State can score, but they can't win. 48-35.
And Oklahoma State might just be like, God, I feel bad saying this, but they might be like a homeless man's Texas or a discount store Texas, where they do play up and they play down. We saw them struggle last week against Baylor, but came to play against Boise State, came to play against Texas, though both of those games were in Stillwater. That sort of has me worried. The second straight road game is not anything I love, so I'm going to disagree. And I think the committee will give points for points, and Oklahoma runs away with it.
7 p.m. on ESPN, Auburn at Georgia. The Dogs favored by 14 points.
Mm-hmm.
So what say you about Auburn right now, Dan? How do you feel about the Auburn Tigers?
I feel all right. I like their defense a lot, but I got to pair it with something, Ty.
Yeah,
I need a nice glass of consistent offense, or special teams sneaking in points often, and I'm not seeing that from Auburn. I know that their running game has improved. Boobie Whitlow is, he played, but he's still beat up. I think the right tackle's beat up too. He should play. But the fact that they, with Gus Malzahn, have not been able to generate, and Jarrett Stidham, by all accounts, still a very talented quarterback, led that comeback against A&M. I am not counting on them, even with the win against Georgia last year during the regular season. Got it handed to them in the SEC championship game. Unfortunately for the Tigers, I sort of see something like that, where it does have a little bit of crockpotting written on it. I think Auburn might get a backdoor cover here. I think that defense is probably too good to lose by that much more than 14 or 15, but I think Georgia still comfortably wins this game, and maybe the score is a little bit closer than it actually was. So I'm going to have this one at 31-20 Georgia, but it's never really in doubt in the fourth quarter.
Okay, so you're taking the points here.
I'm taking Auburn. I'm going to take those points.
Yeah, Auburn to me has been college football's version of one of those old Magic Eye books from the 90s. You remember those things?
Of course. I was terrible at them.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Real bad.
I was maybe the best in the world.
You would find the sunken treasure.
Have I ever told you my story about a Magic Eye pattern and applying for a job at the NSA?
You have not.
Have I ever told this story?
No, I don't. Not that I remember.
I was at one of those job fairs in my senior year and walked around. I think it was at the Bryce Jordan Center at Penn State. And there was a booth for the NSA, which of course was interesting because it's a freaking NSA. They do cool stuff. And at the time, there was a guy giving kind of like a group presentation to maybe 4 or 5 other students talking about really intense things about which I generally had no idea. But after his presentation, he went around and he said, thank you for your time. I'd like to talk to each of you individually and get a question from each of you. And so while the others were asking about things like cryptography and other national security issues, I had no question. I was just there because I was interested.
Right.
I was asking him if the pattern behind him, which was one of these magic eyes, if it was showing a satellite going around a planet. Because I could see. I was very good at these things.
Oh, my God.
And I kid you not, all of the blood drained from his face when I asked him the question, and he said, "Yes, it is. I'm going to need your name and email." And I was terrified.
Oh, no.
Kid you not. 3 months later, I get a very, very cryptic email from NSA.gov saying that they had received my resume. So clearly I struck the right chord.
Right.
And that's where the story ends. I can't tell you anymore, but...
Is that true?
That's 100% true.
Is there more to the story that you are not going to say?
There is no more to the story. I never heard from the NSA. I'm sure I'm on a list now, but apparently the correct question to ask them was whether or not the pattern behind was satellite going around a planet.
So you never actually applied for a job?
They asked for my name, my email, and a resume. I didn't know what I was.
Your resume was there. Okay.
I never knew what I was applying for.
Interesting. And now you're completely unwilling to disclose what you do for a living publicly.
Mysterious day
That's
job,
weird.
Dan.
Interesting. Okay. No, just listen. I'm just asking questions.
The larger point, though, the bigger point, is that it has been a journey to try and see what's hiding in that Auburn pattern all year. Because at first there was the big win over Washington. Then there was a close loss against LSU, which is still a good loss, mind you. But then the offense was shut down against Mississippi State. We had the death blow at home against Tennessee. What was that?
Looked sloppy against Ole Miss for sure, or against Arkansas.
And now, like every Auburn season, we're kind of seeing a 3D picture of Gus Malzahn on the hot seat. It all ends up at the same place. I am convinced Gus is never actually going to get fired. He always seems to do just enough to make people believe in him. Always kind of defies logic.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I think inexplicably Auburn finds a way to keep this one close. Maybe to your point of the game never really being in doubt, but still somehow they cover 14 points. Maybe a little bit of a letdown for Georgia because it's been a down year for Auburn. They had essentially the SEC East title game a week ago. Auburn's got a pretty good defense still that can stop the run in the pass. So Georgia wins. I think it's close. I'm going to say 24-20.
We really haven't, in talking about this game, though, mentioned Georgia specifically.
True.
I am still not crazy about this Georgia offense. There are a lot of players I like on this team, including Jake Fromm. I like the duo of Elijah Holyfield and DeAndre Swift. I like McCole Hardeman as sort of an all-purpose guy in special teams and out wide. I don't love the construction of play calling and creativity with this Georgia offense. And against a really good defense, that has me a little bit perturbed, a little bit worried. And the Georgia defense isn't where it was, although it can still be very good. They may have one of the tougher secondaries in the country. DeAndre Baker has been ridiculous. I don't think Auburn's the team to take advantage of it. But in terms of offensive creativity, I am kind of down on this Georgia offense right now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
They've been winning, but it's a worrisome pattern for me.
A pattern, right?
Yes.
You just got to divert your eyes. Divert your eyes a little bit and then refocus on the pattern, and it comes very clearly.
Yes.
Moving on. 8 p.m. ABC. Clemson at Boston College. Intriguing matchup. Clemson favored by 20. That's a lot of points.
It is.
A lot of points. A.J. Dillon is, I think, the name to watch. He is the star running back for Boston College. If you've listened to the show, we've talked about
big load.
Mr. Dillon for a long time now. He is officially a game time decision after retweaking his ankle a week ago. He's a big dude. He averages about 5.5 per carry. And realistically, if Boston College wants any shot to win, or I think cover, he has to play in this game. Don't you agree?
I do agree. And what worries me is that he is the strength of this Boston College offense. And when he's not going, this can be an offense that goes into a shell for a while. And as we've seen this year, the teams that have been competitive against Clemson, which is tough to use that in a plural because Syracuse had an injury at quarterback as an advantage for Clemson. And I know that was worded in a very clumsy way, but when Trevor Lawrence went out, the dynamic of that game changed considerably. And Texas A&M did actually a very good job hosting Clemson and challenging them downfield consistently and generating chunk plays. I see this Boston College offense, and I just don't think this is it. I don't think this is the team. You go back a couple years ago, that Pitt team, in retrospect, excellent offensive line, James Conner, Nate Peterman, which is a very strange thing to say in retrospect, given Nate Peterman's last couple of years. But this was a team that was able to stretch Clemson out despite obvious talent discrepancies or talent disadvantages for Pitt. And I don't see Boston College constructed in that way. So even if it's close early because of an electric atmosphere, a huge game coming to Boston College for the first time in a long time, or like a Saturday night primetime type game, I think Clemson ultimately runs away with this game. They're just too much and they're too deep. I think they run it on Boston College, who hasn't been great versus the run.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
I have it as 44-17. I think the Tigers cover.
I think Boston College can be competitive on defense insofar as they can pressure Trevor Lawrence and make the passing game difficult, but it does not account for Travis Etienne, who I mentioned him earlier. He's averaging almost 9 yards a carry. He is having a Heisman caliber season. He at least needs to be in that discussion. That's going to be a problem for Boston College. The other problem I have with Boston College is, look, I know I preach at the mantle of teams not being defined by their schedules or shouldn't be defined by their schedules.
Right.
But I need something on the resume that gives me warm fuzzies about Boston College if I think they're going to go toe-to-toe with Clemson, especially with the way Clemson's been playing lately. I mean, they've been tearing off arms and legs since the beginning of October. And I don't have that kind of reassurance looking at what Boston College has done so far this season. So I think I'm with you. I think Clemson destroys Boston College by like 30. Give me 45-14 Clemson. Big win on the road. So we
agree. And then you know what? Clemson also, it's not even just Travis Etienne. It's Adam Choice. It's Feaster. It comes in waves. And all of a sudden, T. Higgins is running 4 yards beyond somebody on play action. And I just think the waves of Clemson will be upon BC.
Dan, did you know that Indochino is North America's leading made-to-measure menswear company?
I didn't, but I know now, and it makes sense.
How about all of these fine things that people have written into us about Indochino, whether they're getting a custom fit shirt, whether they're getting a suit for themselves, for their groomsmen. It's a made-to-measure menswear company. They make suits and shirts to your exact measurements for an unparalleled fit, unparalleled comfort. Visit a showroom, have a stylist take your measurements personally, or you can measure at home and then just shop online at Indochino.com. That's Indochino.com. You choose your fabric and design customizations. And then, look, you get the suit and you just let the compliments roll in.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. November is Black Friday season, which means that you can take advantage of 2018's
deals.
Lowest prices. You can get up to 70% off everything. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you look great when you take center stage for the biggest moments of your life. Go to Indochino.com, Indochino.com. Use the code SOLID at checkout. Take advantage of Black Friday pricing, which is 70% off the regular price for a made-to-measure suit. Shipping is free. That's Indochino.com. Promo code SOLID, 70% off. Once you go custom, you don't go rack. That's what they're telling me to say.
It feels like we're exaggerating, but when you put on a good suit tie, fits you sleekly, you feel like James Bond, you feel like, Don Draper. You just carry yourself. Idris Elba. You ever see Idris Elba at an award show? Am I saying that you are going to look like Idris Elba, who I believe is people's sexiest man on earth, by putting on an Indochino suit? Indochino's not promising this.
No.
Your friend Dan is.
There it is. Okay.
You're going to feel like Idris Elba.
We got a bunch of games. We're going to rifle through them. Some quick ones, all right?
All right.
12 p.m. ABC, Wisconsin at Penn State. Two teams seemingly going the wrong way. Wisconsin may be without Alex Hornibrook. He left that Rutgers game with a head injury.
I hope he's not playing. Yeah.
Yeah, he's listed as questionable for this one. If he doesn't play, obviously a much different story. It looks like the line is taking that into account. The other thing that I'd add here is that Trace McSorley is a little banged up. So the whole thing offensively in this game is a bit of a mess. The point spread, though, is 9 in favor of Penn State. Who you got?
Should mention, Ty, because you were at one point an aspiring meteorologist.
That's right.
It's going to be cold.
Very
in
cold.
College.
Very
it's
cold.
Going to be, I looked up the temperatures. I think I researched temperatures more than I researched games this week. It's going to be super cold in Iowa. It's going to be super cold in South Bend. I think it's going to snow Friday in South Bend.
1 to 3
Florida
inches.
State game.
Little clipper coming through. Yeah.
And it's going to be 30s, I believe, around noon in State College.
Yep.
Not that Wisconsin is not used to those same types of temperatures, if not lower. But it's going to be difficult for quarterbacks who have not necessarily been succeeding. Receivers who have been dropping the ball some, throwing a stone in the cold. Which of these fan bases do you feel like is going to need some sangria to sort of drown their sorrows after this game? Because lose this game, and that's sort of that in terms of upside for the season.
I feel like Penn State's already there, and they were there a week ago. So they probably
you could have good feelings after, even with the Michigan State game, even with Michigan, even with Ohio State. You beat Wisconsin. It's uplifting, Ty.
I don't know. I'm taking the points. I don't know the answer to that question. I'm not answering.
I'm taking the points as well.
Yeah, Penn State's the better team. Whether or not they can actually show that is the question. And there's just so much uncertainty here on both sides for me to feel confident one way or the other. So I'm just going to go Wisconsin +9, and let's talk about Virginia Tech Pitt.
I will add, Penn State hasn't been great against the run. Karan Higdon ran pretty well how he wanted to last week. And so Penn State's in a body blow spot after being flattened by Michigan. Wisconsin has just looked flat on both sides of the ball at times, but they still, I think, boast the best player in this game in Jonathan Taylor tailback. So I think Wisconsin controls the ball enough to keep it close, but I do, if this is a Jack Cohn game, that's his name, Jack Cohn, correct?
Yep, Jack Cohn.
I think I'm going to take Penn State here by 3 or 4.
3:30 ESPNU, Virginia Tech at Pitt. This game may decide the ACC Coastal. Right now, we've got Pitt, a game clear of the field. This is also one of those games, Dan, that really looks so bad on paper that it might be a lot of fun in reality. The point spread is 3 in favor of the Panthers. They are at home. I had a lot of difficulty picking. There is not a clear edge here. It seems dead even to me.
I think it's a good matchup for Pitt. Virginia Tech has not been all that good against the run. We see this Pitt team as the backfield gets healthier, whether it's, Darren Hall last week going for 229 against Virginia on the run. And that was a soggy environment. I don't think it's going to be like that in Pittsburgh. Maybe I'm wrong. I did not check the weather there. But whether it was Valik Carter, whether it was Kadri Allison, there have been various guys in this backfield stepping up. I think ultimately Pitt does get this done. I think it's a good matchup. So I'm going to take Pitt here 27-20.
I like that Pitt can run the football. They're actually a very good running team. It's one of the things they've got going for them. Virginia Tech also a pretty good passing team relative to other teams in the country. But because there isn't a clear edge in the game, and because it is such a razor-thin margin, I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to go Pitt at home. I think we agree. Moving on. 3:30, Fox. Northwestern at Iowa. Now, the line here is 11 in favor of Iowa.
Damn.
Normally, I would be all in on Northwestern, feeling a little bit of a letdown after that big Notre Dame game at home at night a week ago. But this one's got serious Big Ten West implications here, Dan, for both teams, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm torn here.
Yeah, so Northwestern still in the driver's seat for the Big Ten West. I think they've only lost once in the Big Ten, which is so strange to say with that Akron loss. But they're in the driver's seat. Iowa is, I think they're 3-3 in the Big Ten, so they've got some work to do. And it's a letdown spot for Northwestern on the road. I know they beat Michigan State, but this has been an up and down season offensively for Northwestern, who won this game last year. I think this was like a low-scoring overtime game. Yeah, Northwestern won this game by a touchdown in overtime last year in Evanston. I think Iowa gets it together. I don't think they get it together by 2 touchdowns, though. I think they pull out a close one against a Northwestern team that's too solid in too many places to run away from. We saw it against Michigan. We saw it against Notre Dame last week. I'm going to say Iowa 23-20. They pull this out at home, but do not cover.
Okay. Northwestern is a half team. There is no offense here. If they're going to win, it's because they're shutting you down on defense and they're winning that field position game, which they're actually pretty good at this year. My theory, though, is that the Cats are a different team when they're playing against a quarterback that doesn't run. When that threat isn't there, I think they're a better team and they match up a little bit more favorably on defense, where they're already pretty good.
Right.
Low scoring game. Don't know who wins, but it's someone by a 3-point margin, like 24-21. So I'm going Northwestern plus the points.
Yeah, Northwestern, definite grower. Even with the loss last week, even
agreed.
with the stretches they had, definite grower.
3:30 ESPN, Washington State at Colorado. 6 points is your line here in favor of the Cougs. I'm surprised by this line. And I say that with nothing but love in my heart for Colorado. I don't want to be assailed on Twitter.
Right.
Wazoo's a top 10 team, Dan. Why is this line under a touchdown?
They haven't been a great second half team, like as in third and fourth quarter team this year. They barely sneak by a Cal team with the worst offense, perhaps, in the conference. And I would suspect, without obviously knowing firsthand, that there is some trepidation about Washington State's credentials in a conference that is lacking. We called it a Prius demolition derby.
Yeah.
there is one, I shouldn't say one. There are probably 2.3 really good defenses, and Wazoo has not played one of them, and that's in Washington's defense. So even with all of the earned success that Wazoo has accrued this year, I still think that there's this sense of they're really good, but not great, and great teams, go 11-1, 10-2, and so they're waiting for a shoe to drop. I don't know if it's Colorado. They're a different team without a gravitational player in Laviska Shenault. Losing to Oregon State really dumps them down a layer or two for me, a rung or two. I don't know what the layer would be in, like a 7-layer, a 12-layer dip. That is the Pac-12. So I get it. I just don't know where it comes from Colorado. Right. They've gotten it in spots. Katie Nixon had a great game a couple weeks ago. Trevon McMillan has showed out early in the season. So they've gotten it at spots. I don't, it's the bucket getting, Ty. Well, you need it at least 2024, and I don't see it.
I don't like Colorado's pass defense.
No.
And Washington State is a really good quarterback, and they love to throw it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not more complicated than that. I think Washington State wins going away here.
Yeah, I probably, if they play they're due for a letdown spot. I guess you could consider it to be last week, 19-13.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Cal defense is on the verge of being body blow-esque, but I just don't see it with Colorado
wins going away.
Yeah, I have Wazoo winning by 10.
Moving on, 7:30 on Fox. Texas at Texas Tech. This line bubbled and bobbled a little bit. We had Tech favored initially. Now it's Texas, a 2-point road favorite. I am going to assume that the status of British comedy legend Alan Bowman had some influence here.
Mm-hmm.
For as shaky as the Texas defense has looked against some high-powered offenses, that's how shaky Tech's defense is, just in its normal state.
Mm-hmm.
I like Sam Ehlinger here. I think he's the best player on the field. I think he has a monster game. I think the Texas Tech offense misses a few beats without Alan Bowman. By the way, I don't know for sure he's not playing, but I'm hoping that he doesn't play because he recollapsed his partially collapsed lung.
Right.
So I'm going to go Texas here minus the points.
I'm leaning that way. I believe the last I checked, he's still in the hospital.
Yeah.
So I think it's fair to assume it's a Jet Duffy moment for the Red Raiders, good or bad. This Texas Tech team was not as good last year, and they won a wild one in Austin. I think they soaked Cliff after the win. I had a really good screen grab out of it. I'm pretty proud of it. I hesitate with Texas going on the road. There's just something weird about this Texas team in a letdown spot after the way that West Virginia game ended. Texas Tech showing out a little bit better at home. I think I'm going to go with the Jet Duffy Raiders, Ty.
Whoa.
I think I am.
Okay.
I don't like this Texas defense against a pretty challenging Red Raider group of receivers. So I think Tech wins a shootout by 4 or 5. How about that?
Okay. We got 6, 7, maybe 8 games here. I want to go through rapid fire.
Okay.
All right. Tommy gun size, rapid fire. 12 p.m. ESPN. It's the Will Muschamp Bowl. We got South Carolina at Florida. Mm-hmm. The Gators are a 6-point favorite. Who you got?
I'm going to take South Carolina. I think Florida, the cards are crumbling a little bit here. So I'm going to go South Carolina, looking a little bit more resilient than I thought they would. I
think I agree with you. I really wonder how much Florida can last now. They had a very good run this season. I think they've already overachieved compared to what we may have expected preseason.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go points here.
When you start quarterback juggling,
that's a problem. Right?
I don't love it. Did you see Dan Mullen's response? Somebody asked him if Felipe Franks was involved in a fight in the locker room.
Oh yeah, and he was like, "No, what?
Who? No, the Felipe I know." It was very not great.
High noon on FS1, Kansas at Kansas State.
Yes,
10 points is the line in favor of K-State. They played this one for the Governor's Cup. Kansas fired their coach. He is coaching out the rest of the year.
Yeah.
I don't know if we throw out the records in a rivalry game such as this, but I am going to go nuts here and go Kansas plus the points in an inspired effort for their fallen coach.
I guess I'll agree with you. I really want to take Kansas. Kansas State is a nightmare.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Kansas to at least cover the spread in this game. I do like Kansas on the ground at times.
3:30 Pac-12 Network, Oregon, your Ducks at Utah. Utah is a 4-point favorite. I think it speaks to Oregon's offense when Utah's quarterback broke his collarbone and the Utes are still favored here.
Yeah. Oregon's offense is very quietly, because everybody sort of looked at them after the Washington game as, oh, they're dominating on the ground. They're instilling their will on the game and inflicting damage. Oregon's offense is not very good. It is very stubborn. It is very deliberate. And against Utah, you still have to win the battle in the trenches, where Utah is pretty strong. I think I'm going to take Utah. Oregon's been really bad on the road. Granted, it's been against Gardner Minshew and Khalil Tate, a healthier Khalil Tate. So I think his name is Jason Shelley, the backup quarterback for Utah.
That's right.
I think Oregon loses a very winnable game. And Utah is still in the midst of November, but they still win games in November. And they have lost, I think, 2 in a row to Oregon at least. They lost to Justin Herbert when he was a freshman. They lost last year to Braxton Burmeister, which is not my favorite thing. But I think Utah wins a losable game. Oregon loses a winnable game.
Moving on. 7:30 NBC. Florida State at Notre Dame. 17.5 points is a giant spread in favor of the Irish. As you mentioned earlier, going to be a very, very crisp and cold night in South Bend. Probably going to get a little wind up in there. I think I saw 15 miles per hour. So probably not the most exciting fan experience given the weather. And probably another thing flying in the face of Florida State. They've already had a rocky go here throughout the course of 2018. I'm very curious to see the Notre Dame offensive line against the Florida State defensive line, because I think that's an interesting matchup. I still think Florida State's pretty good up front. But I am worried about the Florida State offensive line against a very, very active Notre Dame front. Remember, this is a Notre Dame front that kind of likes creating plays behind the line of scrimmage. They're really trying to take you down for a loss. Of course, everyone is, but that's what they're good at. And as Bud Elliott, our friend from Tomahawk Nation, has said time and time again, this is a really bad Florida State offensive line. They keep shuffling guys in and out, and it just hasn't gone that well. So I think because of that matchup, it favors Notre Dame in a very big way. Plus, given the weather, they got a lot on their side. But still, my policy, because I am ever the superstitious fella, I got to go points here. Florida State plus the points.
You're going the points just for superstition.
I always do it, yeah.
Could there be an element of, because Notre Dame does not have a conference championship game, because a number of what appeared to be the better teams on their schedule have been disappointing, Virginia Tech, Stanford, Florida State, USC, that Notre Dame, like Oklahoma, is looking for style?
There could be. Yeah, sure.
And, if they run the table they're in, everybody, I think, agrees on that point at this point. Notre Dame with this schedule, playing away, I think they're playing what? They have 2 games in neutral situations. They had the San Diego game.
They had the San Diego game against
Yankee
Navy.
Game.
They got Yankee Stadium next week against Syracuse. Being interesting.
Are you going
contest.
to that?
I'm not going to that now.
Okay.
But then they've got USC on the road. So this is a big one. This is their home finale.
Where are you standing right now with Ian Book? I'm fascinated by this.
Why are you so fascinated by this, Dan?
Is Ian Book better than Everett Golson?
Yes.
Is he better than Tommy Rees?
Yes.
Better than Deshaun Kaiser?
No.
Second year starter Deshaun Kaiser?
I don't think he's better talent-wise than Kaiser.
He's not better talent-wise than Wimbush, but he's better than Brandon Wimbush.
Kaiser had way more talent. He could throw a deeper ball with better accuracy. He obviously was drafted pretty highly in the NFL. I felt a lot better about his skill set than I do Ian Book. But there is a similarity in that both Kaiser and Book seem to play some of their better football when the game's on the line. Both have that quality in common. I feel a little bit more confident in what Book does when he's dealing with pressure than Everett Golson. Everett Golson, he sort of didn't really know what was going to happen. He had legs, but there was a little bit of a Wimbush quality where it was deer in headlights.
Okay.
So I'm pro Book here. For some reason, there's part of me that feels like I'm waiting for the clock to strike midnight.
Yeah.
And for this whole thing to turn back into a big old pumpkin. But for now, anyway, the results are there. And he has been playing well in big spots. So got to stick with him. The offense has been demonstrably better since week 3.
I will add, Ty, because we are contractually obligated to do so. This Notre Dame segment's brought to you by Dunkin's Extra Nicotine Cigarettes.
You're such a jerk.
Dunkin's Extra Nicotine Cigarettes. Smoke them while watching Coach Kelly's boys smoke the competition. Okay, that's
such a jerk. 10:30 ESPN. Cal at USC. USC favored by 5.5. I'm curious to see what the USC offense can do against a good defense.
I like USC here. Cal going on the road once again. 2 different styles of offense that they are facing is a little bit worrisome to me. I think USC ultimately runs away with this game. We saw the step forward they took on the ground, granted against Oregon State last week, but when USC can run, USC can comfortably win. They just haven't always run the ball. T. Martin, for whatever reason, and play calling did not add up to rushing success for the Trojans. I think eventually they get it done. I think Cal's strength has been playing the pass. JT Daniels, healthier and healthier, I think is a good sign for USC. I'm still worried about SC in the long term, but I have them winning this one 28-13.
I think I agree with you. I'm going to go USC.
And I think our guy Adam Amin is calling this game. Didn't leave us a voicemail. We'll put it on Twitter if he sends us something, but he was just at USC.
Yeah.
So I will, for him, if you are going to this game, if you're a Cal fan, I guess that's a reverse weekender or just a weekender if you're a Cal fan going down to USC. If you go downtown, which is where USC is, and you are looking, I always give the taco recommendations, not today. I have 2 recommendations of where to eat if you're a Berkeley fan going down, or Cal fan going down from Berkeley to USC or wherever. If you're downtown, Grand Central Market is a enormous, historic, but updated food hall. All sorts of great food, coffee, pupusas. There's a breakfast sandwich place called Egg Slut, Ty. That's right, Egg Slut. That's outstanding. I will also say if you're into Middle Eastern food, there's a newer place called Bavel, and they have a lamb neck shawarma, Ty. Lamb neck shawarma that I've heard is just everything.
Okay.
Bavel, Bavel. That would be my recommendation if you're heading downtown for Cal USC.
And finally, let's travel back in time to 10:15 on Friday on ESPN2. Maybe the biggest group of 5 matchup of the week, certainly the biggest one of the week, maybe in a couple weeks. Fresno at Boise State. Fresno favored by 2.5. You're a big Fresno guy. You're big.
Oh my gosh.
Big Jeff Tedford fan over there.
Yep.
We going Fresno here?
I think so. Boise has struggled more recently than I would have liked. I know Nevada's improved, and that was on the road about a month ago. I didn't love them against BYU last week. They've just been inconsistent. As soon as the offense starts looking like it's getting on track, the defense falls apart like it did against Air Force. I know it's a very specific kind of offense. I think I'm going to go Fresno here. I think there's more to depend on with Fresno and how they've looked. I think Marcus McMaryion has done a very good job for the Bulldogs. I think they're going to be celebrating this one in the San Joaquin Valley.
I agree. Let's go. Let's go Fresno here.
Yeah.
I should add that we did receive a beer recommendation.
Oh, yeah.
I'm losing track of when I do and don't play these, but this one came through such high production quality that we needed to play it. Have a listen.
Hey, Verballers. As we start to settle into November, it's time for us to come to terms with how good or bad our team is this year. With that in mind, this weekend, let's enjoy some Liquid Truth Serum from Dogfish Head. It's a great tropical IPA that's not too bitter. And at 7% ABV, a few of them will keep a Seminole warm in South Bend. If you're looking to step up your tailgating game, the Truth Serum pairs well with teriyaki, pad thai, and stir-fried vegetables.
Ooh.
As always, enjoy responsibly.
Thank you to Brian. He is our Week 11 hop offensive coordinator.
I like it. Quick favor, Ty.
Yeah.
Will you drop that big, stanky moaning.
Oh boy.
Mutual.
You haven't used moaning yet.
Is he going to go there? Is he going to go there? Is he going to do it? Yes, he is. Moist. Drummond 5.
Who do we got, Dan?
All right, we got the Yetis going to the Hudson Valley to take on Army's going to rip them limb from limb.
They are going to kill Lafayette. Give me the Cadets here over Lafayette.
Yes, I'm taking the Knights there. Fordham traveling to Holy Cross. Fordham obviously just obliterated by Colgate, but who hasn't been? Going to take on the Crusaders, who are respectable 2-2 in the Pat League. I think I'm going with the Crusaders.
Gotta go Crusaders here. Yeah, Fordham has been awful this year. Yeah,
it's been rough.
Let's go Crusaders.
They've lost 2 coaches in the past 4 or 5 years. Bucknell traveling to Georgetown. And where are they traveling specifically to?
The Hornet's Nest that is multi-sport field.
The Hornet's Nest that is multi-sport field. I like Georgetown here. The Nellies have been a disaster this year.
We agree.
Colgate, who are allowing 2-point-something points a game. They're feasting on the limbs. They're not even just ripping them off. They are fueled by the limbs of their opponents. 8-0, have not lost in the Pat League. 5-0, traveling to your neck of the woods, Ty.
I know. I was
at 12:30.
Should I go to this game?
I'm gonna say something, Ty.
Yeah.
I think you get a cooler full of sangria. You gather the misses.
Lehigh would be a good place for a big cooler of sangria. It would fit right in.
Is it Goodman Field?
Goodman Stadium.
How
dare you besmirch the name?
Excuse me. Yeah, sorry. Hildenbrandt Field at Goodman Stadium. You grab a cooler or a thermos, whatever. I don't know what the weather's going to be like. You have some sangria, maybe some spiked apple cider.
Okay, sure.
You really go for it. The game's going to be over pretty quickly, but you could see one of the best college football defenses up close. I mean, I'm taking Colgate big here. Lehigh's been kind of a disaster this year. A couple of interesting spots, but I say go, Ty. Go for 40 minutes.
I got to talk it over with the Solid Wife. Tickets are as low as $29, though, according to whatever ESPN.
Wait, that's not that low. That's a hot ticket.
$29. You could probably get in cheaper than that.
I think the scalpers will be out because it's a hot one, Ty.
Crusaders could be FCS national champions. They're ranked in the top 15.
I think they are completely overlooked by the FCS rankings. I think it's some garbage favoritism by big FCS here. I'm going to go Colgate big here. I also have another recommendation. Ty.
I believe I said Crusaders. I meant Colgate. Sorry.
Yeah.
Colgate. Continue.
We're going with the Raiders. We're going with the Gators. My request is, once again, solidverbal.com/store.
Yes.
Check out the new merch.
Do it.
And because they are school and town specific, and we've gotten a bunch of tweets and emails already saying, love the design. When are you doing Baton Rouge or Minneapolis or Evanston, whatever? We want to do whatever you want to do. So also go to solidverbal.com/survey. Easy Google form. Just type in the town, school, whatever you like. We want to give it to you the way you like it.
Whoa.
That sounded like it. I think that was a good way to conclude the Pat League segments. We want to give it to you the way you like it, clothing wise. So yeah, I'm really happy with how they turned out. I hope you are too. solidverbal.com/store and then solidverbal.com/survey.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you to everyone out there for tuning in to the Week 11 preview pod. Don't forget to sign up for the Pick'em pool, which you can find at solidverbal.com/pick'em, Pickem. We got 10 games for you to pick. It's free. It's fun to join. And send your picks around. Get your buddies in on it.
Yeah.
Fun little way
Send
to
the
keep
show
track.
around.
Send the show around. Sure. Solidverbal.com is, as always, how you can find all of our shows, not just this one. Don't forget to also look for us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. We're all over, anywhere you can find social media. We also have a subreddit at reddit.com/r/solidverbal. It was started by super verballers for other super verballers. So go on out and check out what other folks are saying in the verballerhood. And finally, as Dan just mentioned, we do have new shirts out. If you want to get updates live in living color, I guess not as live as listening to it on this show, but we'll send it out Friday, I promise. Go to solidverbal.com, fill in your email address in the newsletter form, and we'll send out official notice via email sometime around, I don't know, let's say Friday afternoon.
Can I mention one more game that
Please.
I actually meant to mention? Just if you are looking for something, because we mentioned Sangria Saturday and taking a luxurious long lunch, brunch, whatever. If for whatever reason you are not drowning your sorrows in sangria at 11:45, 1 p.m. kickoff on ESPN Plus. So if you have the service, which is actually great, I don't know if you've messed around with it, Ty, but ESPN Plus is fantastic. Troy and Georgia Southern in a pretty enormous Sun Belt matchup. It's at Georgia Southern. I think Troy's favored by a little bit on the road. They've lost a combined one game in the Sun Belt. I think this one's going to be fun. Georgia Southern has quietly been one of the better G5 stories this year. So if you're looking for something competitive and interesting with stakes and the other games are blowouts or just not interesting to you, Troy, Georgia Southern. Do it.
Do it. Okay. There you go. For that guy over there, my good friend Dan Rubenstein, for myself, Ty Hildebrandt, thanks again for tuning into the show. Enjoy your sangria Saturday. We'll talk to you in a few days. In the meantime, enjoy your week. Enjoy your weekend. Stay solid.
Peace.